Good evening, good morning, whichever time you're seeing this live stream. Okay, so I scheduled this stream for 7 p.m. but our Niger Wahala and network disorganized everything. But here we are. Okay, whenever you see this, dive in because this is very, very important. So the game has changed, guys. The game has changed, and you have to key in, right? You have to key in, otherwise, I don't know what is going to happen to you. So we have four new tax laws. Let's just dive in, okay? Four new types tax laws that have been put in place, and we have to take charge. So this is your complete guide to Nigerians' four new tax laws. I'm hoping that some of you will join, even though we're not starting on schedule, but let's go. So who am I? Let's go on to the introduction. On June 26, 2025, our own President Tinubu, signed four laws that will fundamentally change everyone's attitude to paying taxes. Taxes collectible from each and every one. Okay, so the government projects that these changes will generate an additional 2.5 trillion naira in revenue. Now, the question now is, will this money come from people who are paying what they ought to pay, or will it come from penalties? Now, there is no escape routes for anyone who is supposed to pay. However, there are so many exemptions for each and every one of us. But there are other areas where you ought to pay. And this is no longer business as usual. If you're supposed to pay, then you should pay. Otherwise, there are consequences. So let's continue. All right. Let's just go. So, but who is your guide? Let's get to meet your guide. My name is Victoriaokokon, FCA, FCTI. That simply means I'm a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria and a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. I have over 20 years across banking, audit, tax consulting, and I've never ever seen changes that is this comprehensive. I'm also the chairman of CITN Port Harcourt and District Society. Have been in rooms where such changes were discussed. Today, I'll share with you what great insights that you wouldn't find in any government circular. So, by the way, President Tinubu signed these laws in place on the 26th of June. Okay, and today is 26th of July, just before midnight. And that effectively tells you that we have exactly 5 months to go before this laws take effect. And here's my promise to you: you will walk away with a clear understanding, okay, on how to navigate these laws, plus access to resources that will save you thousands in potential penalties. So, how are we going to do that? Okay, by knowing what is really changing. So, what's changing? Okay, these four acts replace significantly and modify 23 existing laws, tax laws. Okay, over 60% of our current tax procedures will change starting effective 1st of January 2026. Now, what are those laws? The Nigerian Tax Act, NTA for short, Nigerian Tax Administration Act, NTAA for short, Nigerian Revenues Service Act, NRSA for short, and the Joint Revenue Board Act. I'm going to be explaining each and every one of them and telling you how each of them impacts your life. So let's go. What is really changing? I'm taking it according to the people I am calling out. I'm calling out some specific sets of people, okay? And I'm telling you exactly how it really affects you. Number one, for businesses and business owners, it will lead to a revised corporate tax computation methods. Now, let me give you one example. Before now, for businesses, we used to compute taxes for them by saying, okay, capital, we have what we call capital allowances for your assets, phase phase reduction of whatever you spent on your capital and your assets. Now, we used to have what we call initial allowance and then annual allowance in order to soften the blow of whatever expense incurred in acquiring that asset, because you're not allowed to take everything at once. Now, with this new tax law, that calculation has changed. So what we're calculating now would be effective January would be only annual allowance, no more initial allowances. So just as I have described for assets, there are a lot of computations that have now been reversed. So things are will no longer be as usual. We also have a new transfer pricing documentation requirement. This occurs for um, companies, international companies that have bases here or branches in Nigeria and whatever. Okay, we also have expanded withholding tax obligations. Now, withholding tax, as a matter of fact, that law, the withholding tax regulation 2024, came out even before this new tax laws were signed. As a matter of fact, let me just deviate quickly. As I was preparing for this webinar, the gazetted copies of these acts, guys, is becoming more and more real. The gazetted copies of these acts were delivered. So this is coming to pass, guys. And for that reason, there is no need, there is no, there, you must pay attention and get to understand what this law entails, and then align and get ready and arrange your affairs and ensure that you are able to key in as you should. Great. So the next one for the businesses and business owners, digital assets and reporting requirements. Whichever time you come across this webinar, do make sure that you go through it with a tooth comb so that you understand all of those things and begin to arrange yourself. This is so critical, okay? Very critical. For digital earners, now we have international income reporting changes for each and every one of them. You'll be seeing more and more. I'll be explaining them more in depth as we go on. We have platform specific compliance requirements. Platforms are now required to report. So if you yourself as a digital earner is supposed to first of all file your returns. Now that is not all. If you don't fail to file, take note that the platforms where you're dealing with will file and you would still be exposed. So you better do well to file appropriately. We also have new documentation for remote work income. Remote work has been made easier for Nigerians, but you must now pay taxes on those income if they are eligible for taxes. Crypto and digital asset taxation framework, very important. Crypto is now very much regulated effective January, and you are supposed to pay taxes on your incomes on crypto. Now, how about professionals, accountants, lawyers, consultants, people like me? All right, there is a new continuing education requirements for tax compliance. Now, before I, before we as consultants can collect taxes on help help you, every other taxpayer, we must first of all be compliant ourselves. They say the law says he that comes to equity must come with clean hands. So we must first be compliant. Okay. Again, we also have to be insured. We have expanded professional liability for tax advice because we must ensure that we're giving you correct advice, the taxpayers correct advice, and then make sure that everything is done properly, and we must disclose when we're doing any kind of tax planning on behalf of taxpayers. Now, these things are a lot more transparent, things are a lot more stringent, and things must be done well. Again, we also have mandatory electronic filing for all client tax matters. Now, even for you as an individual, you will be required to file your taxes. Whether you're paying taxes or not, you're still required to file your taxes. And as you're filing your taxes, you're just simply telling the tax authority, oh, here is my income and here are my expenses. And then based on the calculation, there's automated calculation, the on the platform you'll be aware whether you ought to pay taxes or not. It could be zero taxes. Now, let's go on the same way. So the Nigerian Tax Act. Now I'm going into each of the taxes, the four tax laws, the four tax laws that were, you know, um, that have come into place. So the first one is the Nigerian Tax Act, the NTA, and I call it your new tax Bible. I'm a Christian, so that's why I can say that is to show that it is your guide. Okay, it's your guide going forward. Okay, so the Nigerian Tax Act consolidates all the taxes. We used to have over 50 taxes, guys. We used to have over 50 taxes, but now with the Nigerian Tax Act, it has reduced it to a single digit, now just 9 taxes. So what are these changes? What are these changes? It has unified the tax code structure. And what does that mean? It means all income sources. Before, we used to have several laws for different income types. We used to have capital gains tax for when you sell an asset. We used to have personal income tax for your income. All sorts of taxes all over. We had stamp duty taxes for when you want to go and stamp a document or property and all that. But now we now have just all incomes, whatever they are now within a unified tax income. All income sources are now together. So no need for multiple tax laws, for income, for instance. Then there's a standardized filing procedure which has been simplified and will be like electronic. Again, there's expanded income definitions. Now, it is no more opaque where someone is earning money online or offline or wherever, and it is not clear whether the person is paying taxes or not. Now it is very clear. For instance, digital services income has been clearly defined. We now have it's even stated in the acts. It says YouTube income, affiliate income, affiliate marketing income, online courses, crypto, digital assets, international remote work income, all sorts of income, gifts, grants, all of them are clearly stated. Okay, so apart from this being clearly stated, you are also told what to do. You're not in doubt what you ought to do. Passive income from foreign investments, wherever your income is coming from, it is clearly defined, and that you ought to now be, um, you know, declaring this income and paying taxes where applicable. So now okay. Now and let's go on. Okay, if there are also new compliance requirements. When we started, and I told you that everyone has to file. Now, let me tell you now, so far you are earning an income that is 300,000 and above 300,000 rather. Okay, what does that translate? For you to have an income of 300,000, that means it's 25,000 naira. 25 times 12 is 300,000. Now, That means immediately you just cross the 25,000 threshold, guys, you are immediately required to pay taxes. But the good news is that you don't pay taxes when you earn just 300,000. Okay, because the tax law provides that 800,000 and below will pay 0% taxes. So no matter your income, if you earn 800,000, even if you earn way more than that, the first 800,000 is at 0%. But that's not all. Apart from the first 800,000, you also have other eligible deductions. For instance, you have your rent. There's um, a rent provision, okay, such that rent between 200,000 to 500,000 is free and clear. So that means you could have over ₦1 million free and clear at 0%. But that's not all. In addition, you also have other deductions that are called eligible deductions. Now, what are eligible deductions? We have things like insurance, life insurance. Of course, you must have papers to back it up. Maybe you have pension, maybe you have NHF, and all of those things. They are eligible deductions. So you could take off all of this one before you now start computing your taxes. And but the rates are lower than it used to be before now. But the important thing is that there is no escape route for anyone. If you're supposed to pay, you have to pay. So, what's the action that is required? The action that is required is that know it now that if you earn over 300,000 naira, you are supposed to have a tax identification number. Very soon, registration will be starting for us to have a new platform for us to get all of these tax identification numbers. For those who have existing tax identification numbers, it will be migrated to this new platform that I have just mentioned. Okay, so that's the thing. That's the thing. So where are we going with this? Okay, the next one is the Nigerian Revenue Service Act, the NRSA. What is this one? It's simply saying that the FIRS, as we know now, will now be called the Nigerian Revenue Service to be more representative of what they do in representing the entire federation. And guys, their powers have been expanded. They have way more powers, as you're going to see even right now. Okay, first of all, they have direct access into your bank accounts, guys. They have direct access. They can automatically cross-reference your earnings with international tax databases. Okay, and this one is very, very important because I heard one young YouTuber saying that he has an LLC and he will keep some of his money in an offshore account an account, outside the country and all of that, and that he will guide others how to do it. Guys, sorry to disappoint you. Sorry, okay, because all of those things are laid bare. Okay, for instance, they have the NRS has international reach. Okay, they have automatic exchange of information with 67 countries and counting, guys, and counting. There has a mutual agreement procedures for dispute resolution, just in case maybe they have already charged you for tax in one other location and you're supposed to be taxed here again. There will be a mutual agreement on how to go about it so that you're not suffering double taxation. Then there's an advanced penalty structure. Oh my God. Penalty structure in the current dispensation is about 5%, and then you now add interest at prevailing market rates. Okay. However, with these new laws, interest rates have increased, penalties have increased way, way more than what it is, and all of that. So, where are we? The Nigerian Revenue Service Act. How does this affect you? What does this mean for you? Okay, what does it mean for you? What it means is mandatory reporting of, for instance, for professionals, right? As a professional, it means mandatorily, we have to report all our clients' tax positions correctly. Okay, above those ones that are above 10 million naira, we have to report them. Then others, we have to make sure that we file them accurately and advise them properly where necessary. Okay, we also have to have a professional indemnity insurance. I think I mentioned that earlier. And then we also have to continue the education. I said all of that earlier. For business owners, there's automatic reporting. Now, this is on you as a business owner. Automatic reporting of all transactions above 500,000. The banks will report that right away. Don't forget, I said the banks have, the NRS has direct access to the banks and the records and the bank. That reminds me, our BVNs were linked, our NIN was linked, our phone numbers are linked. So you are open. You have been led bare, guys. You have been led bare. So this regime, this era is not an era where you dodge one thing or the other. No, 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 no. Don't even try it. Don't even think of it. Okay. Then still, we're still on business owners. Supply chain tax compliance verification. Yes, I will explain that further. If you don't declare, don't forget you're dealing with other people. So those ones will declare that these were the transactions they had with you, right? Okay. There's enhanced audit probabilities. Before now, a company could stay for a while before getting audited because it took a while to get around to them. Now, this whole thing is AI enabled, guys. So there is increased probability that will be audited, especially if you're doing the wrong thing. So where are we? Okay, where are we? So we're still on the Nigerian Revenue Service Act. Okay, I need to. You need to see my face so that you understand that this is a serious matter we're talking about. Okay, so for digital earners, there's platforms will reports. Okay, reports. There is platform agreements between the NRF and them concerning what is going on their platforms because they're also supposed to do reports. So you are also supposed to ensure that you do your own reports. There is automatic, crypto wallet reporting and automatic reporting of all international transactions. You're supposed to report transactions above $500, okay, that you have with other clients. So let's do a quick case study between the old and the new. Now I have a client that sells imported goods on WhatsApp. Okay, e-commerce. Either they do an ad or what have you, and then on and offline. So that's what she does. And under the current dispensation, anybody that is buying and selling can do it without actually paying taxes. No more. Not anymore, guys. Not anymore. Why? Because under the old system, there is no tracking. Essentially, it was what we call the informal sector. The informal sector is that. And then, so that's what was happening under the old system. But under the new system, it's no longer like that. No longer business as usual. Why? Because the banks will send their reports, the people that she's dealing with will send their reports, and these are automated reports. Okay, whatever is going on in all of these locations is also led bare to the revenue authorities. So, and then finally, you're also supposed to do your own filing as at when due, right? Good. So, if you do the wrong thing, if there's a discrepancy within 48 hours, this information is made It's flagged. And once it's flagged, that means it's a query for you. So that's the case study. Okay. So the next one is the Nigerian Tax Administration Act. The Nigerian Tax Administration Act. So this one provides for the assessment, the collection, and accounting of all the revenue that that is attributable to the federal, the state, and the local governments. Okay, and it's trying to saying all of them should work together in sync. Okay, they should all work together in sync. And then it's also saying that there will be a unified digital platform where all of us, it doesn't matter which part of Nigeria you live in, okay, and you all key in into that singular platform. I already mentioned earlier that it will be AI powered. There's machine learning, predictive analysis, and what have you, automated tax calculations, okay, and returns. It will be easy and it will be simple for anyone to key into. There'll also be streamlined dispute resolutions and what have you. But all of this may be sounding like Greek to you. My concern is, what does it mean for you? Okay, the practical applications, the practical benefits, the deadlines that that affect you. Those are the things I want to. That's why I'm saying that the game has changed. The game has changed. Not only has the game changed, the game. I'm asking you. I'm saying, are you ready? Are you ready to key in with these changes? The government has said they will make 2.5 trillion naira. As for this 2.5 trillion naira, it now depends. Will it come from your pockets as penalties, or will it come because you're just paying what you're supposed to pay? Are you seeing the difference? Good. So what are the deadlines? What are the deadlines? First of all, January 1st, 2026, it kicks off. The system goes live. I said that earlier. Then March 31st, 2026, all existing taxpayers, by then, all of us, if you have a tax identification number before now, you will be migrated into the new platform. If you don't, you should have by that period, or before that period, rather. By June 30th, 2026, the first set of filings are supposed to be made in the new dispensation. That's all, not all. By September 30th, 2026, these are timelines that have been provided for, okay, according to the law that has been signed and gazetted already. Okay, penalty free compliance period ends. Before now, from between that January and all that, people will be scrambling to ensure that they do things in place. But don't wait till that time. This is the time to get ready, because there are things you may need to do for your business, structures you may need to put in place so that you pay the minimum possible, not that you go and pay what you don't ought to, you're not supposed to pay. There are exemptions, but if you don't structure and arrange yourself properly, then those exemptions may not reach you. I can't explain to all of some of those things right now, okay? Because this is there's a you would even leave me and go away. So this I'll be doing more and more of these webinars, but I'll be addressing one thing after the other. I cannot address everything at the same time. So what are the practical benefits of the Nigerian Tax Administration Act? Number one, for professionals, there's instant tax computation tools. Everything has been made easy such that you're not making errors in doing some of these calculations. Okay, good. Then there's claims management dashboard, automated compliance alerts. All of those things is to make things easier and seamless. Remember, it's AI powered. Good. For business owners, what is that? Simplified filing process. Why? Because you'll be required to file by yourself. As a matter of fact, every single person, I said it earlier, who earns above 300,000 is supposed to file for themselves. So for that reason, the filing process will be simplified for everybody to be able to key in seamlessly. Then there's real-time payments confirmation, then integrated accounting system all over the place, for the filing. For digital earners, what are the benefits? Practical benefits. Mobile first filing options. This is for everybody. You can file with your mobile, you can file at your convenience. The important thing is that you should file. But how do you file if you don't have proper records? How do you file if you don't have proper records to be able to know that you're filing the right thing, and you're filing, you're not, you're doing the good right thing for yourself, and that you're paying the minimum possible? How do you do that? Then there's simplified international income computations. All of that for you, for the Nigerian Tax Administration Act will provide for us. Good. So the next one is the Joint Revenue Board Act. The Joint Revenue Board Act. And this one is, in fact, all the laws are great. I wanted to say this one is sweet, but they're all great, 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 great laws that have been put into place. Okay. The first one is the Nigerian Revenue Service, Nigerian Revenue Board Act is saying that it will serve as a coordinating arm to ensure that federal, states, local governments, wherever they are in the country, will be doing the right thing, and they'll be doing the same thing. What obtains in state A should be what obtains in state B, not where everybody is going crazy doing their own thing. Okay, ensuring that things are streamlined, and then filing dates across every state are the same, similar structures, similar penalty structures, dispute resolution between A and B, between the different governments, between the maybe one revenue authority and the other, or states and local governments, and what have you. And then another beautiful part of it is they will also be interfacing between issues that may be happening between the revenue authorities and the taxpayers. I think that, and the taxpayers. So as a taxpayer, you could call in. We have what under the Joint Revenue Board Act, we have what we call the tax ombuds. So you could call the tax ombuds and you say, hey, this is what the revenue authority is doing, or hey, I don't understand X and Y, or hey, this is the situation. And then they'll be able to explain to you, even in Hausa, in Yoruba, in Igbo, in our Nigerian languages. The tax ombuds will be available to attend to taxpayers. Now, that is not all. So, what are the impacts? That's not all. There's the Tax Appeal Tribunal, again, under the Joint Revenue Board Act. A lot of things. What is this telling you? That the government is serious about this matter. This is not the time to think you would escape, or you will be playing a fast one. You know why? Because it is only a matter of time. Things will keep improving, and before you know it, the penalties, you will be hit with them. And the penalties, guys, God. Oh my goodness. Anyway, what is the impact on taxpayers? First, there'll be elimination of double taxation, okay, because we'll be using one unified platform. Yes, it will be segmented into states, state A, state B, and all of that, but it will be all together. Even the federal will be within there, the local government will be within there. What they're supposed to be collecting at each of those levels will be within there, and all of that. So there'll be unified assessment procedures for everyone. So you know what you're supposed to be assessed with. You won't pay in state A and also pay in state B. That is what the government is planning. We also pray that implementation will go on seamlessly. Yes, then there will be automatic credits for taxes at different levels. Okay, then single filing for multiple jurisdiction, coordinated audit schedules, unified appeal processes. In other words, coordinated. The states, local, and federal together can come together and come and do audits, okay, for maybe a company, right? Instead of 1 million persons coming and disturbing a business place over and over again. So these are the things. This is for Nigeria Revenue Board Act. So we'll be going on and talking about all of those things. But before we talk about all of those things, because of the time that we started this live stream, we couldn't we couldn't uh, I'm not able to interact with you as I ought to. So what I'll do is there are some we actually had the live, right? But network was so poor. In fact, one of the videos on YouTube, when I checked it again, the volume was there was no volume on it. So, but I had some questions on Zoom. It was supposed to be on Zoom and on YouTube and on LinkedIn. So only on YouTube is there, but the video quality is really poor, which is why I had to quickly do this one because there is a lot to talk about, and I don't want to repeat this particular aspect again. Hopefully, by next week, I'll be talking about something different. So that was why it was important for me to stay up and ensure that this is documented accordingly. So now I'm going to be looking at some questions that uh, that people have been asking. What are these questions that they've been asking? So I'll look at those questions and I'll answer them, uh, answer them, and then together. So that then please drop your question whenever you come across this live stream on LinkedIn. Please do well to drop it. I'll tag you and I'll answer the questions wherever and whenever you see this question. If you see it on YouTube, do well to ensure that you um, answer the question. Sorry, ask your question. You like, you subscribe. That channel is fresh, and ensure that you like, you subscribe, and then encourage me to do more because there's a lot to talk about in this on this tax laws, and for that reason, you cannot afford to play with it. So one of the number one questions that I was asked really was when exactly do I need to start complying with these laws? You get, okay, effective start dates is 1st of January 2026. But like I told you earlier, there's a lot to do. There's a lot to prepare to get yourself ready to key in and ensure that you don't shortchange yourself. Okay. So yes, it takes effect 1st of January, but what do you need to do right now? Good. Then um, registration also opens by 31st. Sorry, from registration for the new system opens October, this October 2025, and then migration will continue and be completed by March. So even for those who have tax identification numbers right now, you continually migrate. You go and subscribe to the new system and move on. Those who don't have will register quickly on the new system from October 1st. But like I said, there are things to be done before then. The next one is what happens to my existing tax obligations? Some people have been paying taxes, some have not been paying truly, but some have been paying. So for those who have been paying, how about me if I want a tax clearance, if I want this and want that, what about what I have been paying? No problem. Those payments will be migrated. There's nothing, no problem about it. There's no problem about it. So another question again that has been asked is how does these changes affect my international clients, okay, and my international income? You get that? Maybe you earn money from some platforms. Maybe you have international clients that you do jobs with. No problem. How? Again, no problem. International income reporting becomes mandatory. Okay, $500 and above, you must report. You must report. Okay, any transaction that is over $500, you're supposed to ensure that you um, report income. You report that income. There will be seamless ways for you to do that. Okay. Then apart from that, and this is not the time to say you are not doing it or you think you can dodge, you can play a fast one, and this. No, 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 no. Don't even think about it, because there are, like I said, there are international treaties between different countries, between Nigeria and other countries. This sharing of information all around. Okay, so don't even think about it. Then what else? How do these changes affect? Okay, I've explained that already. Another question that has been bugging a lot of people's mind is, are there any grace periods or amnesty programs? Yes, there is likely to be an amnesty program. And if you listen attentively earlier, I said that up to penalties will kick in by September. But before then, of course, you would have been given a lot of a lot of guidelines on what to do. So what else? What else? What other question? There are some other questions that I know I was asked. Let me just find it. Some other questions that I know I was asked. Okay, yes, cryptocurrency. What about cryptocurrency and digital assets? Those are another question that was asked. Earlier, if you listen carefully, I said that cryptocurrencies that you would need to pay taxes on your profits, okay, on your gains. And then I also said that some people were asking about the losses. And I said clarity will be put on that, will be made over that, because guidelines, now that the gazetted copy is out, guidelines will be out on how we need to prepare and work towards implementing these provisions. Another question was, how will this affect my business registration and operations? So basically, all businesses must update their tax identification numbers before that period. In fact, this is even more important. You need to check what kind of business registration you have. There are some of you that need to quickly register your businesses, some other form of businesses. If you have an enterprise, you may need to register a limited liability company. If you have a partnership, or if you don't even have a company at all, your business is not even registered. Why? Because this law does not, it encourages formalization, coming forward and saying, this is the kind of business I do. And so I come out to register with my full chest. Okay, that is what this law promotes. If you do that, you come and register as a limited liability company, even if you're a small company, then your turnover, if you make sales, turnover is equal sales. If you make sales to the tune of 50 million naira, free and clear, no tax. Okay, so there are a lot of things, there are a lot of inroads within the tax law that is to your benefit, but only if you know. Okay, that's it. Only if you know. So, what are the penalties for non-compliance? Oh, this is huge. Penalties for non-compliance is huge. First of all, I said between interest is between 5 and 15%, and then penalties can go up to 300%, between 5 and 300%, depending on the what you're paying for, depending on what they are being penalized for. Huh. Okay, where is that? Okay, so yeah, another question, another very important question that was asked is, do I need to hire a tax consultant? No, no, no. Well, if you hire me, no problem. I'll love that. I'll save you and I'll charge you. Okay, that will be great. Okay, that's why we're here. That is our profession and that is what we do. But no, you don't have to. You don't have to. If you're doing a business that is not making up to 10 million naira at least, then you don't need to hire a tax consultant. First of all, the platforms will be made in such a way that it's easy and seamless for everybody to interact with. So you can do a lot of things by yourself if you know, which is why you should pay attention and get to know. Okay. Otherwise, once you begin to make some higher ranges of income, then it is important that you get a tax consultant so that they will help you to structure and streamline and arrange things so that you pay the minimum possible and you don't fall um, victim to penalties because of ignorance. Okay. Another question. So many questions. Another question was, okay, how do I prepare business for these changes? How? Okay, that was another question. How? Number one, start by keeping proper records. Even if you don't do any other thing, start by keeping proper records. That's the number one thing. Because this time around, it is your records that you bear you witness that this is what transpired. It is your records, your receipts, your bank statement, transactions, what you have recorded, okay, what you use the money for, and what have you. Those are the things that will bear you witness, especially if the evidences that back up all of those records. So you need to start keeping proper records. That's one thing that you need to do. Then you need to check, do what we call a tax compliance audit. Are you currently paying taxes? Are you? So if you're paying, are you paying everything you ought to be paying and how you ought to be paying it? So do a tax compliance audit. Okay, what are you supposed to be paying? Okay, so in my subsequent webinars, I would be giving away a free checklist. Okay, but only for those who register that they'll be part of those webinars. Good. Okay, so you need to be registered. When you register, then okay, that gives me, you register and then you show up, because it's important for you to learn these things. Okay, you show up, you register, you show up, and then I'll be giving you a free checklist that you can use to review, relate it to yourself, and then find out, begin to tick off the ones that you have taken care of before January, before December, in fact. Okay, so you need to do that. So that is how you prepare your business. And then ensure that not just you who is listening to me now, not just you, but maybe your staff members, people that you know, because this affects all of us as Nigerians. Okay, all of us. So not just you, everyone around your cycle should get to know. Especially if you have a business, then your employees should also get to know and key in and know what to do. So another one is, will there be training programs? Which is why I'm saying you should listen, though. Okay, listen, listen, tell others. That is not all. There will be trainings by the Federal Inland Revenue Service or the Nigerian Revenue Service, now Nigerian Revenue. There will be other pockets of training all over. And then make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I'll be doing more of this. Follow me on wherever, on all my socials, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and because I'll be doing a lot more of this so that you can stay updated. Okay, so that you can stay updated. So these are most of the questions. These are some of the questions that I'm able to remember and able to bring to your notice even right now. So, but beyond that, how else? Okay, how else? Where else? What else? If you do have your own questions, you still have more questions, do well to drop them on my DM, on Instagram, on my DM, on LinkedIn, or on the comment section on YouTube. And do well to subscribe. You need to encourage me to do more of those things, because it is a lot. And you're talking of hundreds of pages of law to be decoded and then brought to you in an understandable format that you can begin to implement and do things by yourself. Don't forget, the key word is that you should be able to do these things by yourself. There is no need to pay for a consultant like us if you're not making up to 10 million at least as part of your profits. Okay, and even at that 10 million, if you're properly registered as a business, you're not supposed to pay any tax on it. So, which is why you need to know your onions. Okay, very important. And so, who am I? My contact is on the screen. I'm not just a tax coach, okay? I'm your complete financial strategist, all right? I help Nigerian entrepreneurs and professionals leverage new tax exemptions, optimize their compliance and strategies, and build robust wealth systems. That is my wish for you, that you be able to, whatever money you're making, you'll be able to use it for yourself, not that you waste it on penalties when you ought not to. You're just supposed to pay your taxes as at when due. What's the portion that is supposed to be paid, not more than that. That is all for today. I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to getting your questions, more and more questions that will guide me on what to teach next time. Until next time, do have a good night.